Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erie Bandis. Yep, that's like the lake. And here we talk about everything cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency related. And before we get into the video, I want to introduce myself for those who might not be aware. I actually have a bachelor's and master's in computer science, with my master's specialized in AI, machine learning, and software engineering. And I actually took a graduate level course in cryptography. Right now I work as a software engineer at a data company in Chicago. And I actually got started investing in cryptocurrency a couple years back, and I've always been researching it a little bit more so beforehand. I started this channel to help people understand cryptocurrency, its value, and why they should consider having it as an asset moving forward into the future. I'm hoping with this video that's going to be a little bit more technical focused, that I can pass on my tech expertise so that you guys can understand cryptocurrency a bit more. Now with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. In this video, I'll be talking about the new Bitcoin upgrade, Taproot, that's expected to come out November 14th, this Sunday. This upgrade has seen an overwhelmingly approval from Bitcoin developers and miners, with over 90% of miners approving of this update. In this video, I'll discuss exactly what's expected to change with the Taproot upgrade, including the technical components behind it, how it's going to affect the price, and what I'm doing about it. And I've actually set up chapters on the bottom of this video, so feel free to scroll around and see which parts interest you. Okay, so what is Taproot? Tap out? No. Taproot. Taproot is the biggest update to the Bitcoin blockchain since 2017 that enabled Lightning transactions as a result of the 2017 upgrade. Taproot will be encompassing 3 Bitcoin improvement proposals, which include BIP 340, BIP 341, and BIP 342. These 3 proposals introduce Schnorr signatures, Taproot, and TapScript. I spent way too much time on that first proposal. You guys need to try saying it to yourself, because I swear that's a tongue twister. I probably said it 15 times before I got it right. All 3 of these together will provide more space savings, which leads to more cost savings, along with more privacy and more security. Not only that, but more future upgrades will be possible due to the upgrades to Bitcoin's scripting language. So let's get into the first proposal. BIP 340 introduces Schnorr signatures to replace ECDSA signature. And as a heads up, when I talk about signatures or digital signatures, these are just a mathematical technique used to validate the authenticity, integrity of essentially messages and digital documents. Schnorr signatures lead to public keys or addresses that you've all seen to be about 32 bytes long instead of the original 33 bytes long. Additionally, Schnorr signatures are about 65 bytes long, while ECDSA is about 71 to 72 bytes long for a signature. Now, this might not sound like a lot, but it is still substantial considering multitude of transactions and multitude of blocks over time. These space savings will then lead to reduced cost that is passed on to each user like yourself. And the reason for that is because more transactions can fit into one block. So if more transactions can fit into one block, you're essentially saying that less blocks need to be formed to fit the same amount of people, which thus reduces the cost of the fees. While BIP 340 talks about generating and encoding the Schnorr signatures, 341 really talks about how to integrate the signatures. This overall proposal is the main one called Taproot, which the entire upgrade is named after. So along with Schnorr signatures, Taproot enables Merkle trees. Now, what are Merkle trees? Merkle trees are essentially a data structure format that kind of looks like a binary tree. You have, as you see in the image here, you have a script A, B, C, and D, which are each then hashed, and they each have their own hash, and then those are hashed together until you get to one node at the top, which is known as the Merkle root. What this Merkle root means is that all these scripts, like the transactions before, are pushed together into one script. For smart contracts, this becomes more efficient, essentially, because before you needed to have multiple scripts outlined in the block, which took much more space and cost much more money when it came to utilizing smart contracts on Bitcoin. Now, if users send Bitcoin to this Merkle root, which looks like a normal public address, then essentially they can fulfill one of the conditions of this script and fulfill the smart contract, whatever that may be. This becomes a lot more efficient because not every script has to be explicitly there, and everything is mushed together into one script. So these 4 scripts in this example are mushed together into one script, and the user only maybe has to justify one condition in this script to validate it. An example of a smart contract that can take place on Bitcoin is a gambling DApp. What does that mean? So an example of a gambling DApp is one where there's an auto-generated number from 1 to 100. You have to say if that number is less than 50 or greater than 50. If you get it right, you double your money. If you get it wrong, you lose that money. So the way the smart contract might work in this case is essentially if you guess it correctly, you fulfill the condition, then you will receive double the Bitcoin to your address. That's what the smart contract is fulfilling. If you lose, it'll most likely send that money to a liquidity pool address where all the losing money is essentially stored in that address, and that money is utilized to pay future contestants or future gamblers. This is a simple dApp that now is more feasible on the Bitcoin blockchain because not every script now has to be included explicitly on the block. All those scripts now are pushed together into one script that's hashed. So less space utilized means more fee savings, which means smart contracts are more possible. Then we have BIP 342, which is just the introduction of TapScript, which essentially is an update to the Bitcoin script or scripting language for Bitcoin. Essentially, this new functionality is enabled in Bitcoin script to verify Taproot spends and Schnorr signatures. So essentially, it's just allowing the rest of the upgrade to happen and for people to actually code in this. So now let's talk about the benefits of this upgrade, because there should be a lot, right? Well, yeah, there are some decent upgrades on this. First, the main one is space savings. So Taproot ultimately saves space on the blockchain like we've talked about before by either reducing the byte size of the signatures of the public address or by combining scripts and multiple transactions together. Because we're utilizing less block space, that means the fees will also get reduced because you essentially can fit more data now onto the blockchain, which means you can fit more transactions onto the blockchain. So that's the main savings when it comes to space. Then we have privacy. So in terms of privacy, you can actually tell the difference right now in terms of a smart contract address on Bitcoin versus a public address, along with what conditions are being fulfilled in order for that user to fulfill the smart contract. Now, because of Schnorr signatures and the aggregation of all these transactions being hashed together, it's very hard to tell what exactly is a smart contract address, what exactly is a public address, and which transactions are involved in this, which then essentially leads to more privacy. Because of these privacy changes, Glassnode and other websites like Glassnode will have more of a difficult time tracking their data because it's harder to distinguish between smart contract addresses and public addresses. So essentially some of the data that they have, like new addresses being created every day, how much each address holds in terms of Bitcoin, will be a lot harder to track as of now. Security wise, there is some benefit to using Schnorr signatures over ECDSA, and the main reason for that is because there's less assumptions utilized in that signature for Schnorr versus ECDSA. I'm not going to get into the whole mathematical components of it, but it's just proven to be more secure. So now a big focus of Taproot is the smart contract functionality for Bitcoin. But how does that exactly compare to Ethereum smart contracts? Because a lot of people are making it seem that Bitcoin now is going to be able to really partake in DeFi, and what you're seeing on Ethereum is going to be able to be seen on Bitcoin. And while it's great that smart contracts are becoming a bit easier on Bitcoin, I believe a lot of this is overhyped. The main reason I say this is because Bitcoin's new smart contract functionality will be nowhere near to the functionality that Ethereum has. Bitcoin itself with Bitcoin script is very limited in terms of what it can do. One of the biggest technical components that Ethereum can support is loops, whereas Bitcoin script excluded loops for the fear of infinite loops and essentially workflow stoppage. Ethereum, on the other hand, was able to incorporate loops into their Ethereum virtual machine or EVM to make it Turing complete. Turing complete just essentially means that the EVM can encode any computation that is conceivably carried out. And this is great for Ethereum because essentially it's something that is possible on centralized platforms with languages like Python, Java, C, C++, is now also possible for the blockchain with the introduction of EVM and Solidity. But it's because of this functionality that smart contracts are so powerful on Ethereum and blockchains like Ethereum. Now, it's great that Bitcoin has added this smart contract functionality to it and that they can essentially have reduced fees and make it more enabling to utilize smart contracts on Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, because they can't incorporate loops or complex recursion to call multiple smart contracts, you can't really have complex smart contracts on Bitcoin. The most you can really have is kind of like voting systems, data storage, gambling apps, and of that sort. It doesn't get to the same complexities that Ethereum does with DeFi. So because of that, that's why I say that this upgrade is overhyped. So is this upgrade important? Well, yeah, it's definitely still important. I mean, this is the first big upgrade in 4 years. Not only that, it's a testament to Bitcoin and Bitcoin's protocol that it's constantly being developed and upgraded in terms of its security, privacy, cost savings, because right now Bitcoin's at about 1.3 trillion market cap, and people expect that to eventually flip gold, which is about a 10 trillion market cap. Now, if we want to pass gold, that means we're going to have more and more users in the coming years. In order to support all these users, we need to make sure that this protocol is as secure, as private, and as cost-saving as possible. I just don't believe in terms of the smart contracts that it'll be nearly as powerful as Ethereum or any Ethereum competitor. So then how will it affect price? Well, I'm kind of mixed in this situation. I don't believe the underlying protocol will change too much, and I don't think most people will even notice it, to be honest. For example, in 2017, with the last update, we actually saw the transaction speed go from 3 to 7 TPS. Now, that's not a lot of TPS when you're comparing it to blockchains like Solana or Zilliqa that can handle tens of thousands of transactions, but it was still double at that time. This protocol, in comparison to the 2017, will even see more minimal changes. But while the underlying protocol I don't believe is changing much where people will notice it, it could carry the narrative in a bull run to make the price actually go higher. It could be essentially the catalyst because people make the catalyst. And the reason for that is because the price of Bitcoin or the price of any asset is because we give it that value. Its value comes from our sentiment on that market or on that asset. And if we believe that this protocol means something for Bitcoin and we decide to start buying more of that asset, then in turn it will cause the asset price to rise. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? But essentially, because we are in a bull run and because we are on an uptrend, I do believe that this upgrade will actually make the price go up. Now, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion of how it will affect the price. Now, in terms of what I'm doing, I'm going to be monitoring the price starting from November 14th and the few days to weeks afterwards. I believe that the price is going to continue to go up, and I think we're going to see that money then start to flow down to altcoins, where I'm going to be starting to dollar cost averaging out of a lot of my altcoins because I do believe that a bear market is going to happen in the next few months. That's just my personal belief because I believe a lot of the markets, including real estate, the stock market, cryptocurrency market, collectibles, everything is overinflated, and I don't think it could last. I think especially when it comes to cryptocurrency where we have issues with leverage, which is the reason we went down 50% in May, I think we'll start to see something like that that can really catalyze a crash. But who knows? At the end of the day, not everyone is perfect. Not everyone can time this market. I don't expect to time the market fully. That's why I will still keep some of my funds invested. That's just what I plan to do, but I do plan to take some profits because it's good to take profits. At the end of the day, if you hold those coins during the bear market, you essentially had paper gains and you never realized them. But anyway, guys, I hope I was able to provide a technical expertise to this video so you can understand more about this upgrade, what it means, and exactly how it is compared to Ethereum, and how to move forward because of this. If you learned something, please subscribe below. I would greatly appreciate it. On top of that, please hit the like button. It will greatly help me get some feedback in terms of how I'm doing. It'll push my videos to others and also give me more feedback. On top of that, leave a comment in the description talking about what exactly you expect this upgrade to do to the price. Do you think it'll go up higher or do you think it'll go lower? Please let me know in the comments below.